The unbreakable chains. On a distant cold planet, covered in ice and dust, ancient chains held something powerful and dangerous. These chains were huge, glowing faintly with a blue light that seemed to hum with energy. They wrapped tightly around a giant figure, trapped for thousands of years. No one knew who or what it was. Legends said it was a monster, a destroyer of worlds, a being so powerful that no one could defeat it, except for the chains. Jack stood before the chains, his eyes wide with curiosity and fear. He was an explorer, traveling from planet to planet, searching for ancient secrets. But this was beyond anything he had ever seen. The air was cold, biting at his skin, but he couldn't move away. The giant figure trapped within the chains looked almost alive. Its eyes were closed, and its body was covered in strange markings that glowed faintly. "What are you?" Jack whispered, his voice trembling. He took a step closer, his boots crunching on the icy ground. He could feel the energy from the chains buzzing around him, like static electricity. Every part of his body screamed at him to leave, to run away. But his curiosity was stronger. Jack reached out his hand slowly. He didn't know why. It was as if something was pulling him closer, guiding his fingers towards the glowing chains. His fingers touched the cold metal, and a sharp shock ran through his body. It was like touching lightning. His heart skipped a beat, his body frozen in place, but he couldn't pull his hand away. The air crackled around him. The ground beneath his feet began to shake. A deep, rumbling noise echoed across the icy plains. Jack stumbled backward, his heart pounding. The chains started to glow brighter, the blue light turning to a fiery red. Cracks appeared on the metal, spreading like spiderwebs. The giant figure moved. Its fingers twitched, then its arms, then its head. Its eyes opened slowly, revealing glowing golden orbs that burned with ancient power. Jack's blood turned to ice. Those eyes, they were filled with anger, pain, and something darker. The ground shook violently, throwing Jack to his knees. The chains cracked louder, pieces of metal falling to the ground, shattering like glass. A powerful energy burst out from the giant figure, pushing Jack back. He covered his face as dust and ice flew through the air. When the dust settled, the figure stood tall and free. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of a human, with muscles that looked like they were carved from stone. Its skin was dark, covered in glowing markings that pulsed like a heartbeat. Its face was fierce, sharp, and alien, with golden eyes that stared right at Jack. Jack's heart raced. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The creature took a step forward, its heavy foot cracking the ground beneath it. It looked down at its hands, flexing its fingers, feeling the freedom it hadn't known for thousands of years. Then, its eyes locked on Jack. "You?" The creature's voice was deep, echoing like thunder. "You set me free." Jack swallowed hard. He wanted to speak, to explain that he didn't mean to, that it was an accident, but no words came out. His body refused to move, frozen in fear. The creature's eyes burned with anger. It took another step closer, its body radiating power and heat. Jack could feel the ground tremble with every movement. "For eternity, I was chained," the creature growled, its voice sharp and cold, "imprisoned by those who feared my power. And now, because of you, I am free." The sky darkened as clouds gathered above them, swirling violently. Lightning crackled, reflecting in the creature's golden eyes. It raised its hand, pointing at Jack. Energy gathered around its fingers, glowing with a dangerous light. "You shall pay for waking me," the creature roared. The energy grew brighter, sparking with electricity. Jack's body finally responded. He turned and ran, his legs moving faster than they ever had before. Behind him, the ground exploded with a flash of light, sending rocks and ice flying through the air. The creature's roar echoed across the frozen plains, shaking the very earth. Jack didn't look back. He didn't need to. He could feel the creature's power, its anger chasing him. His mind raced with questions. What was that thing? Why was it chained? And why did his touch set it free? His heart pounded in his chest, his breath cold and sharp. He knew one thing for certain. He had awakened something ancient, something powerful, and something very, very angry. And now, it was coming for him. The awakening. Jack ran as fast as his legs could carry him, his heart thundering in his chest. The icy wind cut at his face, his breath sharp and cold, but he didn't dare look back. He could feel the ground shaking with every step the creature took, the air crackling with its power. Lightning flashed above, the dark clouds swirling like a living storm. His mind raced, trying to make sense of what he had just seen. A giant, ancient creature, chained for who knows how long, awakened by his touch. He didn't mean to set it free. He was just curious, just trying to understand the mystery. But now the curiosity had turned into a nightmare. A roar echoed across the plains, so loud that it shook the ground beneath him. Jack's body tensed, his legs moving even faster. He stumbled over a rock, his body crashing into the cold snow. Pain shot through his arm, but he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. He pushed himself up, his eyes catching a glimpse of the creature in the distance. It was massive, standing tall with its glowing golden eyes fixed on him. Its skin was dark, covered in strange markings that glowed like fire. Energy crackled around its body, sparking and flashing with power. It looked ancient, powerful, and angry. The creature's voice boomed through the air, deep and echoing. "You cannot run, human." It took a step forward, the ground shattering beneath its feet. "You woke me from my prison. You broke the chains. Now, you must face the consequences." Jack's blood ran cold. He had to find a way to escape. But where could he go? This planet was empty, nothing but ice and rocks. His ship was miles away, hidden in a cave for safety. He didn't have time to reach it. He was trapped. His eyes darted around, searching for a place to hide. He spotted a narrow crack in a nearby mountain, just big enough for him to squeeze through. Without thinking, he sprinted towards it, his legs burning with exhaustion. He could feel the creature's power behind him, the air growing hotter and heavier with each step it took. Jack threw himself into the crack, his body pressing against the cold stone. He held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He could hear the creature's footsteps, heavy and slow, shaking the earth. The air buzzed with energy, the temperature rising. The creature's shadow loomed over the crack, its golden eyes scanning the ground. Jack pressed himself tighter against the stone, his body trembling. The creature's face was fierce, its mouth twisted into a snarl. It was searching for him, its anger burning bright. The air grew colder as the creature moved away, its footsteps echoing through the mountains. Jack exhaled slowly, his body relaxing just a little. He waited, his ears straining to hear any sign of danger. Silence. He dared to peek out from the crack, his eyes following the creature as it walked away. It was moving slowly, its shoulders hunched, its head low. It looked tired. Jack's fear was replaced with curiosity. Why did it look so weak? The creature stopped, its body swaying. It leaned against a rock, its glowing markings flickering like a dying flame. It took a deep breath, its chest rising and falling heavily. Jack watched in silence, his mind racing. For a moment, the creature looked sad. Its eyes stared into the distance, its face softened. Jack felt a strange pull in his heart. He expected a monster, a destroyer, something evil. But this creature looked almost human. The creature closed its eyes, its body shaking. It fell to its knees, its arms wrapped around itself, as if trying to hold itself together. A deep, broken sound came from its mouth, almost like a sob. Jack's heart ached. He didn't understand why, but he felt sorry for the creature. It looked so powerful, so dangerous, but also so lonely. He remembered its words, the anger and pain in its voice. "I was chained for eternity. imprisoned by those who feared my power. He wondered who did this to it, and why. What kind of power did it have that made others so afraid? And how long had it been trapped, alone, and forgotten? Jack's curiosity grew stronger. He knew he should run, find his ship, and escape this planet. But his heart wouldn't let him. He couldn't leave this creature alone, not like this. He took a deep breath, his fear slowly fading. He stepped out from the crack, his body tense but his mind steady. He walked towards the creature, his footsteps soft and careful. The creature's head snapped up, its golden eyes wide with shock. It stood up quickly, its body tense and ready to fight. But Jack held up his hands, his voice calm. "I'm not here to hurt you." The creature's eyes narrowed, its body sparking with energy. "Why?" Its voice was sharp, confused. "You are human. You should be afraid." Jack swallowed hard, his heart racing. "I was afraid. But I see your pain. I see your loneliness. I want to understand. Who did this to you? Why were you chained?" The creature's face softened, its body relaxing just a little. It looked at Jack with a mix of anger and sadness. "They called themselves gods. They feared my power, my freedom. They trapped me, left me to rot in darkness, for eternity." Jack's eyes widened. Gods. Who were these beings, and what power did they have to imprison something so strong? His curiosity grew, his fear replaced with determination. "I don't know who they were," Jack said softly, "but I do know one thing. No one deserves to be chained forever. Not even you." The creature's eyes widened in shock, its body shaking. It looked at Jack as if seeing him for the first time. Its anger faded, replaced with confusion and hope. "You are different," the creature whispered, its voice trembling. "You have freed me, not just from the chains, but from my pain." Jack took a step closer, his eyes steady. "Maybe we can help each other. I can show you the world that awaits outside this prison. But first, you have to trust me." The creature looked at Jack, its golden eyes softening. For the first time in thousands of years, it felt something warm and gentle, a human's kindness. But in the distance, dark clouds gathered. A cold wind blew through the mountains, carrying a whisper of danger. The gods who chained the creature had felt its freedom, and they were coming to finish what they started. Lost between worlds. Jack's eyes blinked open, his head throbbing with pain. The air was heavy, warm, and filled with a strange, sweet scent. He pushed himself up, his body aching. His eyes widened as he looked around. This was not the icy planet where he found the creature. This place was different. Floating islands hung in the sky, connected by glowing bridges made of pure light. Giant crystals floated above the ground, humming with energy. The sky was a swirl of colors, shifting from deep purple to bright gold. It was beautiful and terrifying. He turned his head and froze. The creature stood a few feet away, its back turned to him. It was looking at the sky, its body tense and still. Its dark skin shimmered with strange symbols, glowing softly. Its golden eyes stared into the distance, lost in thought. Jack's heart raced. He was alone with the creature, the same creature that almost killed him. He took a slow, deep breath, his body ready to run if needed. But something about the creature seemed different. It looked calm, almost sad. "You're awake," the creature spoke without turning around. Its voice was deep, echoing through the strange world. "I was not sure if your fragile human body could survive the journey." Jack swallowed hard. Journey? What journey? He remembered the light, the feeling of weightlessness, the world spinning around him. The creature must have brought him here. But why? Where are we? Jack's voice was small, shaky. He tried to hide his fear, but the creature's presence was overwhelming. The creature turned slowly, its golden eyes fixed on Jack. Its face was fierce, sharp, and alien, but its expression was soft, almost gentle. "This is my prison," it said quietly. This world is between time and space, a place where I was kept, for eternity. Jack's eyes widened. A prison. But this place was so beautiful. He looked around, his eyes following the floating islands and glowing crystals. This is your prison?" he asked, his voice filled with confusion. The creature's face darkened. It looked at the sky, its golden eyes burning with anger and pain. "It is beautiful, yes, but it is a cage. A place that exists outside of time. A place where I was meant to be forgotten." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. He looked at the creature, really looked at it for the first time. Its shoulders were tense, its face hard, but its eyes were sad, filled with loneliness. He understood now. This was not just a prison. This was a place of isolation, a place where the creature was left alone, for eternity. He took a step closer, his fear fading. "Who did this to you?" he asked softly. "Why would they trap you here?" The creature's body tensed, its hands clenching into fists. "They called themselves gods. They ruled the universe with power and fear. They saw me as a threat. My power was too great, my spirit too free. So they chained me, trapped me in this world, so that they could rule without challenge." Jack's heart ached. He could hear the pain in the creature's voice, the anger and betrayal. He looked at the glowing symbols on its body, the way they flickered like a dying flame. It was powerful, yes, but it was also broken, scared by the pain of loneliness. Jack took another step closer. "How long were you trapped here?" The creature's eyes softened, its body relaxing just a little. "Time does not exist in this world. Days, years, centuries, they are all the same. I was left alone, forgotten, until you touched the chains." Jack's heart skipped a beat. He remembered the cold metal, the shock of energy, the way the chains cracked under his fingers. "I didn't mean to set you free," he admitted, his voice trembling. "I was just curious. I didn't know you were trapped." The creature looked at Jack, its golden eyes studying him. "You are different," it said slowly. "The others who came before you, they were afraid. They ran, leaving me chained and alone. But you stayed. You touched the chains. Why?" Jack felt his cheeks grow warm. He looked down at his hands, remembering the cold shock of energy. I wanted to understand," he said quietly. "I wanted to know who you were, why you were chained. I didn't see a monster. I saw someone who needed help." The creature's eyes widened, its body trembling. It took a step back, its face filled with shock. "You felt my pain." Jack looked up, his eyes steady. "Yes," he said softly. "I saw the sadness in your eyes. I felt your loneliness. I couldn't just walk away. I wanted to help you, even if I was afraid." The creature's body relaxed, its shoulders lowering. It looked at Jack, its golden eyes softening. "No one has ever spoken to me like this," it whispered. "No one has ever seen me as more than a monster." Jack's heart ached. He stepped closer, his body calm and steady. "You're not a monster," he said firmly. "You're just like me, trapped, alone, and afraid. But now you're free, and you don't have to be alone anymore." The creature's eyes glistened, its body shaking. It looked at Jack, its face filled with hope and fear. "I do not understand," it whispered. "How can you trust me? I almost killed you." Jack smiled softly. "You were scared, angry. I would be too if I were chained for eternity. But I see you now. I see who you really are. And I trust you, because you chose not to kill me." The creature's golden eyes widened, its body trembling. It looked at its hands, the power sparking around its fingers. It had the power to destroy, to kill, but it didn't. It chose to spare Jack's life. It looked at Jack, its eyes filled with wonder. "You have given me something I thought I lost long ago," it whispered. Hope. Jack's heart swelled with warmth. He reached out his hand, his eyes steady and calm. Then let's face this together. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. The creature looked at Jack's hand, its face filled with uncertainty. But then, slowly, it reached out, its fingers trembling. Its hand touched Jack's, warm and strong. A light burst from their touch, bright and powerful. The world around them shook, the sky splitting open. Jack looked up, his eyes wide with shock. Dark shadows poured from the sky, twisting and writhing like snakes. The air grew cold, heavy with danger. The creature's body tensed, its face filled with fear. They are coming, it whispered, its voice trembling. The gods who chained me, they have felt my freedom. And they will stop at nothing to trap me again. Jack's heart raced, his body tensing. He looked at the creature, his eyes filled with determination. Then we fight, together. The creature's golden eyes burned with power. It stood tall, its body glowing with light. Together, it agreed, its voice strong. For freedom and for hope. They stood side by side, ready to face the shadows, ready to fight for their freedom, ready for the battle that would change everything. Enemies of the past. Dark shadows swirled in the sky, twisting and writhing like snakes made of smoke and anger. Their whispers filled the air, cold and cruel, echoing across the floating islands. The ground trembled, the floating crystals dimming as the shadows grew closer. Jack's heart raced, his body tense and ready. He stood beside the creature, his eyes fixed on the dark storm above. The air was cold, heavy with danger. He could feel the shadows watching him, their eyes burning with hate. The creature's body glowed with a fierce light, its golden eyes blazing with power. Its hands were clenched, its muscles tense. Jack could feel the anger radiating from its body, the pain and fear buried deep within its heart. They are here, the creature said, its voice low and steady. The gods who chained me. They have come to finish what they started. Jack looked at the creature, his eyes wide with shock. Gods. He remembered the anger and sadness in the creature's voice when it spoke of its prison. These shadows were the ones who trapped it, who left it alone for eternity. His fists tightened, his fear replaced with anger. We fight them. Together, Jack said firmly. His voice was calm, but his heart was pounding. He didn't know how to fight gods. He was just a human, a simple explorer, but he couldn't walk away. Not now. Not after everything he had seen. The creature looked at Jack, its golden eyes softening. Together, it agreed. But be warned, these shadows are not just gods. They are nightmares. They are anger, fear, and hate, given form. They will try to break you, to turn you against yourself. Stay strong, Jack. Do not let them into your heart. Jack swallowed hard. Shadows that could break him, that could turn him against himself. His hands trembled, his heart beating faster. But he took a deep breath, his fear fading. I won't let them win, he whispered. Not now. Not ever. The creature smiled, its face soft and kind. Then we fight. As one. The sky split open, and the shadows poured down like rain. They fell fast, crashing into the ground, twisting and crawling like snakes. Their eyes glowed red, their mouths wide with sharp, jagged teeth. Their voices were cold, whispering in a language Jack didn't understand, but it made his skin crawl. The shadows moved quickly, surrounding them, their bodies flickering like flames. Jack could feel their cold presence, their hate pressing down on him. He took a step back, his body shaking, but he felt a warm hand on his shoulder. The creature stood beside him, its golden eyes burning bright. Its body glowed with light, pushing back the darkness. It raised its hands, energy crackling around its fingers. Stay close to me, it said firmly. I will protect you. Jack nodded, his heart steady. He stayed close, his body tense and ready. The shadows moved faster, circling them, their whispers growing louder. Jack felt them pressing into his mind, cold and sharp, trying to find a way in. "You are weak," a shadow hissed, its voice cold and cruel. "Just a human. Just a fragile, weak human. You will break. You will fall." Jack's body tensed, his mind spinning. The shadow's words echoed in his head, sharp and painful. But he shook his head, his fists tightening. "No. I am more than that. I am not weak. I am not afraid." The shadows hissed, their bodies twisting angrily. They lunged at him, their claws sharp and deadly. But the creature stepped forward, its body glowing brighter. It raised its hands, and a wall of light burst from its body, pushing the shadows back. The shadows screamed, their bodies flickering. But they didn't stop. They kept coming, their eyes burning with hate. They attacked again and again, faster and harder each time. The creature fought fiercely, its light flashing and sparking, its power pushing the shadows back. But Jack could see the pain in its eyes. He could see its body trembling, its energy flickering. The creature was strong, but it was tired. It was fighting not just the shadows, but the memories of its prison, the pain and anger that still haunted it. Jack's heart ached. He couldn't let the creature fight alone. He couldn't stand by and watch it suffer. He took a deep breath, his fear replaced with determination. He stepped forward, his eyes blazing with courage. "Leave us alone," he shouted, his voice strong and steady. "I won't let you hurt my friend." The shadows turned to him, their eyes burning. They lunged at him, their bodies twisting and writhing. But Jack didn't back down. He stood firm, his heart steady. The creature's eyes widened, its face filled with shock. "Jack, no, you cannot fight them." But Jack didn't listen. He reached out his hand, his fingers glowing with light. The shadows screamed, their bodies burning as his light touched them. They fell back, their eyes wide with fear. Jack felt the light flowing through him, warm and powerful. It was the same light he felt when he touched the chains, the same power that freed the creature. It was his hope, his courage, his heart, given form. The shadows hissed, their bodies shaking. Impossible. A human with the light of creation. Jack didn't understand what they meant, but he didn't care. He stepped forward, his light growing brighter. "Leave us alone," he shouted again, his voice echoing through the air. The shadows screamed, their bodies twisting and burning. They fell back, their eyes wide with fear. Jack's light pushed them away, driving them back into the sky. The creature watched in shock, its golden eyes wide. "Jack, you have the power of light, the power to create and destroy, the power they fear." Jack looked at his hands, his eyes wide with shock. His fingers were still glowing, his body warm with power. He looked at the creature, his heart racing. I don't understand. What is this power?" The creature's face softened, its eyes filled with hope. "It is the power of humanity. The power of love, hope, and courage. The power that can break any chain, even the chains of the gods." Jack's heart swelled with warmth. He looked at the sky, his eyes burning with determination. "Then we fight. We fight for freedom. We fight for hope. We fight together." The creature smiled, its body glowing brighter. "Together," it agreed, its voice strong and steady. "For hope and for freedom." The sky darkened, the shadows swirling angrily. Their voices were cold, whispering with anger. But Jack and the creature stood side by side, their bodies glowing with light. They were ready, ready to face the gods, ready to fight for their freedom, ready for the battle that would change everything. The power of unity. The air was thick with tension, cold and heavy, as the shadows circled above. Their voices whispered in cruel tones, echoing through the strange world of floating islands and glowing crystals. Jack stood firm, his eyes blazing with courage, his body glowing with light. Beside him stood the creature, its golden eyes fierce and determined. Together, They faced the darkness, side by side. The shadows twisted and writhed, their red eyes burning with hate. They were angry, afraid of the light that shone from Jack's body. They had never seen a human with such power before. It confused them, angered them, and it made them desperate. "They fear you," the creature whispered, its voice low and steady. "Your light, it is stronger than their darkness. They cannot break you." Jack looked at his hands, his eyes wide with wonder. His fingers glowed with light, warm and powerful. It felt alive, flowing through him like a river. He could feel its strength, its warmth, its hope. He looked at the creature, his heart steady. "This light, it came from you. When I touched the chains, your pain became my pain. Your hope became my hope. We are connected." The creature's eyes softened, its body relaxing. "Yes," it whispered. "Your touch freed me, not just from the chains, but from my pain. You saw me, not as a monster, but as a living being. You gave me hope." Jack's heart swelled with warmth. He understood now. The light was more than just power. It was his heart, his kindness, his courage. It was the bond he shared with the creature, the friendship they built. He looked at the shadows, his eyes fierce and steady. "We faced them together. They tried to break us, to keep us alone. But they failed. We are stronger together." The creature stood tall, its body glowing with light. Its golden eyes burned with power, its face filled with hope. Together, it agreed, its voice strong and steady, for freedom and for hope. The shadows hissed, their bodies twisting angrily. They lunged forward, their claws sharp and deadly. Jack and the creature stood side by side, their light blazing bright. The shadows crashed into the light, screaming as their bodies burned. But they didn't stop. They attacked again and again, their voices cold and cruel. "You cannot win," they hissed. "We are gods. We are fear. We are hate. You are nothing." Jack's body trembled, the shadows' words echoing in his mind. He felt his light flicker, his courage wavering. He felt small, weak, human. But then he felt a warm hand on his shoulder. The creature stood beside him, its eyes steady and calm. "Do not listen to them," it said firmly. "They feed on fear and doubt. But they cannot touch your heart. They cannot break your spirit." Jack's heart steadied, his light burning brighter. He looked at the creature, his eyes filled with determination. "They tried to break you too," he whispered. "They tried to make you believe you were a monster, but you're not. You're stronger than they are." The creature's eyes widened, its body trembling. It looked at the shadows, its face hardening. "Yes," it said quietly. "They chained me, trapped me in darkness, but they did not break me. I survived. I fought. And now, I am free." The shadows screamed, their voices sharp and cold. They lunged forward, their claws reaching for the creature. But the creature's body burst with light, its power blazing bright. The shadows shrieked, their bodies burning in the light. They fell back, their voices trembling. "Impossible. Your light. It is too strong." The creature stepped forward, its golden eyes fierce. "Your chains broke my body, but my spirit is unbroken. I am free. Because of him." It pointed at Jack, its face softening. "He gave me hope. He gave me light. And together, we are unstoppable." Jack felt the light grow within him, warm and powerful. He stepped forward, his eyes blazing with courage. "You tried to break us. You tried to keep us alone and afraid. But we are not alone. We are together. And together, we will defeat you." The shadows twisted angrily, their bodies flickering. "No," they screamed. "We are gods. We are fear. We are hate. We will not be defeated." Jack and the creature stood side by side, their bodies glowing with light. Their hands touched, their power combining. The light burst from their bodies, bright and fierce, filling the sky with warmth. The shadows screamed, their bodies burning. They twisted and writhed, their voices echoing with pain. Impossible, this light. It is too strong. It is. The light grew brighter, washing over the shadows. Their bodies flickered, their eyes wide with fear. No, no, we cannot be defeated. Their voices faded, their bodies burning away in the light. The sky cleared, the darkness fading. The air grew warm, the world brightening. Jack's body trembled, his light flickering. He looked at the creature, his eyes wide. We did it. We defeated them. The creature's eyes softened, its face filled with wonder. Yes, it whispered. We did, together. Jack's heart swelled with warmth. He looked at the sky, his eyes burning with hope. We're free, he said softly. They're gone. They can't hurt us anymore. But the creature's face darkened, its body tensing. No, it whispered. They are not truly gone. They are shadows, fears and doubts given form. They cannot be destroyed, only banished. They will return, stronger and angrier. Jack's heart sank. Then, how do we stop them? The creature looked at Jack, its golden eyes softening. We stand together. We fight as one. Our light, our hope, our courage. That is the only power they cannot defeat. Jack's eyes widened, his heart steady. Then we fight. We fight for hope. We fight for freedom. We fight together. The creature smiled, its face soft and warm. Yes, together, for hope and for freedom. The sky brightened, the shadows fading. But Jack knew the battle was not over. The gods were still out there, still angry, still powerful. But he was not alone. He stood beside the creature, his friend, his ally. Together, they were stronger than any shadow, stronger than any fear. Together, they were unstoppable. The final battle. The sky was dark, heavy with anger. The air crackled with power, cold and sharp. Jack stood firm, his body glowing with light, his heart steady. Beside him stood the creature, its golden eyes fierce and unwavering. They faced the swirling storm above, ready to fight, ready to end this once and for all. The shadows were gone, banished by their light. But the gods who created them were not defeated. Jack could feel their presence, powerful and cruel, watching from the darkness. They were waiting, preparing for the final attack. The creature's body glowed with light, its markings pulsing with energy. Its face was hard, determined. They are coming, it said quietly. They are angry. They will not let us go easily. Jack looked at the creature, his eyes filled with courage. Then we fight, he said firmly. We fight together, and we end this. The creature's eyes softened, its face filled with hope. Yes, it agreed. Together, we are stronger than they are. The sky split open with a thunderous roar, lightning flashing bright. The ground trembled, cracks spreading through the floating islands. The air grew cold, heavy with power. Darkness poured from the sky, thick and heavy, swirling like smoke. It twisted and writhed, forming shapes, faces with glowing eyes, bodies made of shadows. They were huge, towering over Jack and the creature, their eyes burning with hate. Jack's heart raced, his body trembling. These were the gods who chained the creature, the ones who trapped it in darkness. Their presence was overwhelming, their power suffocating. But he didn't back down. He stood firm, his light burning bright. He looked at the creature, his eyes steady. We face them together, he whispered. We fight for freedom. The creature nodded, its body glowing brighter. It stepped forward, its golden eyes fierce. Your chains broke my body, it shouted, its voice strong and steady. But they did not break my spirit. I am free, and I will never be chained again. The gods' eyes burned with anger. Their voices echoed through the air, cold and cruel. You were meant to be forgotten, they hissed. You were too powerful, too dangerous. We chained you to keep you from destroying everything." The creature's body trembled, its light flickering. "You feared me because you could not control me," it growled. "You called me a monster, but the only monsters I see are you." The gods roared, their voices shaking the ground, their bodies twisted, their claws reaching for the creature. Jack felt the air grow colder, the darkness pressing down on him. But he didn't move. He stood firm, his light burning brighter. He reached out his hand, his fingers touching the creature's arm. "You are not alone," he said softly. "I'm with you, no matter what." The creature looked at Jack, its golden eyes wide with shock. It felt the warmth of Jack's touch, the light flowing into its body. It felt the bond between them, the hope and courage they shared. The gods' eyes narrowed, their bodies twisting angrily. "Foolish human," they hissed. "You think you can stand against us? We are gods. We are eternal. We err." Jack stepped forward, his eyes blazing with courage. "You are nothing but shadows," he shouted, his voice echoing through the air. "You are fear and hate given form. You tried to break us, to keep us alone and afraid. But we are stronger than you. We are united, and together we will defeat you." The gods screamed, their voices filled with rage. Their bodies twisted, their claws reaching for Jack. But the creature stepped forward, its body glowing with light. It stood beside Jack, its golden eyes fierce. "Our light is stronger than your darkness," it shouted. "Our hope is stronger than your fear. Our courage is stronger than your hate. You cannot break us, because we are one." Their hands touched, their light bursting into the sky. It was warm, bright, powerful. It flowed through the air, washing over the darkness. The gods screamed, their bodies flickering, their eyes wide with fear. "No, this light. It is too strong. It is hope." The light grew brighter, filling the sky. It burned away the darkness, washing over the gods. Their bodies twisted, their voices echoing with pain. They fell back, their power fading. But they didn't give up. They lunged forward, their claws sharp and deadly. Jack and the creature stood side by side, their light blazing bright. They fought fiercely, their power pushing the gods back. The battle was fierce, the sky flashing with light and darkness. The gods attacked again and again, their bodies flickering. Jack's light burned them, his courage breaking their power. But the gods were strong. They fought back with anger and hate, their voices cold and cruel. Jack felt his body trembling, his light flickering. He was just a human, just one small person. How could he stand against gods? His knees buckled, his body falling. The darkness pressed down on him, cold and heavy. He felt the gods' claws reaching for him, their eyes burning with hate. But then he felt a warm hand on his shoulder. The creature stood beside him, its golden eyes fierce. "Stand strong, Jack," it said firmly. "Do not let them into your heart. Your light is stronger than their darkness. You are not alone. I am with you." Jack's heart steadied, his light burning brighter. He looked at the creature, his eyes filled with hope. "Together," he whispered, "we fight, together." The creature smiled, its body glowing bright. Their hands touched, their light combining. It was warm, powerful, unstoppable. The light burst from their bodies, filling the sky. It burned through the darkness, washing over the gods. They screamed, their bodies flickering, their power fading. "No, no, this cannot be. We are gods. We are fear." The light grew brighter, their voices fading, their bodies twisted, burning away in the light. The darkness faded, the sky brightening. Jack's heart raced, his body trembling. He looked at the sky, his eyes wide with shock. We did it," he whispered. "We defeated them." The creature stood beside him, its golden eyes soft. "Yes," it said quietly. "Together, We are unstoppable. The sky cleared, the light fading. The air grew warm, the world brightening. Jack looked at the creature, his heart filled with hope. We're free, finally free. The creature smiled, its face soft and warm. Yes, free, because of you. They stood side by side, their hearts steady. They were free, together. But their journey was not over. The gods were defeated, but their shadows still lingered. They would return, stronger and angrier. But Jack was not afraid. He stood with his friend, his ally, his light. Together, they were unstoppable. The touch that changed everything. The sky was clear, the storm of darkness finally gone. A warm breeze flowed through the air, carrying the sweet scent of life and hope. Jack stood on the edge of a floating island, his body glowing with light. Beside him stood the creature, its golden eyes soft and peaceful. They were free. But their journey was not over. Jack could feel it in his heart, a deep pull that wouldn't let go. He looked at the creature, his eyes filled with determination. The gods are defeated, but their shadows still linger, he said quietly. They will return, and they will try to take your freedom again. The creature's face darkened, its body tensing. Yes, it whispered. They are anger and fear given form. They cannot be destroyed, only banished. They will return, stronger and angrier. Jack's fists tightened, his heart steady. Then we end this, once and for all. We destroy the chains, the power they used to trap you. We break their hold on this world, forever. The creature's eyes widened, its face filled with shock. The chains, it whispered, its voice trembling. They are more than just metal. They are ancient magic, forged from the gods' power. To destroy them is to destroy their hold on reality itself. Jack's heart raced. He remembered the cold metal, the shock of energy, the way the chains cracked under his touch. My light broke them before, he said slowly. Maybe it can break them forever. The creature looked at Jack, its golden eyes filled with hope. Your touch, it changed everything. It freed me from my prison and from my pain. If anyone can break the chains, it is you. Jack's heart swelled with warmth. He looked at his hands, his fingers still glowing with light. Then we do this, together. The creature smiled, its face soft and kind. Together, it agreed, for hope and for freedom. They walked side by side, their light shining bright, their hearts steady. They moved through the strange world of floating islands and glowing crystals, following the pull in Jack's heart. It led them to a mountain, tall and fierce, its peak covered in dark clouds. At the top of the mountain stood the chains, broken and twisted, their metal blackened and cold. They were huge, wrapping around a stone altar, humming with a faint blue light. The air was cold, heavy with power. Jack could feel it pressing down on him, cold and sharp. The creature's body tensed, its golden eyes burning with anger. These chains, they were my prison, it growled, its voice trembling. They trapped me, broke me, kept me alone, for eternity. Jack's heart ached. He could feel the pain in the creature's voice, the anger and sadness buried deep within its heart. He reached out his hand, his fingers brushing against the cold metal. A shock ran through his body, sharp and cold, but he didn't pull away. He could feel the chains' power, ancient and cruel. They were made from fear and hate, from darkness and pain. They were the gods' way of controlling the world, of keeping power for themselves. Jack's eyes blazed with determination. No more, he whispered. No more pain. No more fear. No more chains. He looked at the creature, his eyes steady and strong. We end this, together. The creature's face softened, its body glowing with light. It placed its hand on Jack's, its golden eyes filled with hope. Together, it whispered. Their light burst from their bodies, bright and powerful. It flowed through the chains, warm and fierce. The metal trembled, cracks spreading through its surface. The blue light flickered, its power fading. But the chains fought back. The air grew cold, heavy with anger. Shadows poured from the cracks, twisting and writhing like snakes. They hissed and screamed, their voices sharp and cruel. "You cannot break us," they hissed. "We are the chains of reality. We are the God's will. We are eternal." Jack's body trembled, his light flickering. He felt the shadows pressing into his mind, cold and sharp. They showed him images of darkness, of pain and fear. They tried to break him, to make him give up. But he felt the creature's hand on his, warm and steady. He looked at the creature, its golden eyes calm and kind. "Do not let them in," it whispered. "They are only shadows. They have no power over your heart." Jack's heart steadied, his light burning brighter. He looked at the chains, his eyes fierce. "You are nothing but shadows," he shouted. "You are fear and hate, and you will not break me." The shadows screamed, their bodies twisting. The chains cracked, their metal shattering. The blue light faded, its power crumbling. The mountain shook, the air growing warm. The clouds above burst open, light pouring down. Jack's light grew brighter, washing over the chains. They trembled, their metal burning. The shadows screamed, their voices fading. "No, this light. It is too strong. It is." The chains shattered, their metal breaking into dust. The blue light vanished, the darkness fading. The mountain stopped shaking, the air growing calm. Jack's body trembled, his light flickering. He looked at the creature, his eyes wide. We did it," he whispered. "We broke the chains." The creature's eyes filled with tears, its body shaking. It looked at the broken metal, its face filled with wonder. "I am free," it whispered. "Truly free, for the first time." Jack's heart swelled with warmth. He looked at the sky, his eyes burning with hope. "It's over," he said softly. "They can't hurt you anymore." The creature looked at Jack, its golden eyes soft. "No," it agreed. "They cannot hurt me, because of you." Jack smiled, his heart steady. "We did this, together." The creature smiled back, its face soft and warm. "Yes, together." The sky brightened, the light growing stronger. The world around them began to change, the floating islands merging, the glowing crystals fading. The prison was breaking, its power shattered. Jack felt the world spinning, his body growing light. He looked at the creature, his heart steady. "We're going home." The creature's eyes widened, its face filled with wonder. "Home," it whispered. "I had never thought I would see it again." Jack reached out his hand, his eyes soft. "Then let's go, together." The creature took Jack's hand, its fingers warm and strong. Together, always. The light grew brighter, washing over them. The world spun, the darkness fading. Jack closed his eyes, his heart filled with hope. They were free, truly free. And together, they would face whatever came next. Because no chain could break their bond. No darkness could dim their light. Together, they were unstoppable.